We continue now at the top of Daf Memvav Amid Aleph in Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 46a. And the previous summit, there was a machlokas in the Mishnah. Let's say you have a situation of two partners who are prohibited from getting hana, from deriving benefit from one another. So the Tanna Kama says the partners now, let's say they're partners in a chotzer, they cannot enter the chotzer because the Tanna Kama holds there is no breira, and therefore it's possible when one partner enters into the chotzer, he's actually entering into the property of the other partner, and he's getting benefit from the other partner. And Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says there is breira, meaning to say when one partner enters, we say retroactively it's as if he entered his part of the chotzer, and therefore it is no problem. And the Mishnah continues, Ushneim asurim lahamid rechaim v'tanur ulegadol tarnagolim. Both of them are prohibited from putting up a mill or an oven or raising chickens. The Rosh over here explains, the bechol hani yecholin shutfin la'akev ze al ze. In general, when it comes to these kind of situations, a mill or an oven, etc., so the partners are actually allowed, and one partner can prevent the other from doing that. That's a halacha in Perach Cheskas Habatim in Baba Basra. Hilkach lo dami lehiluch. Therefore, it's not similar to just walking into the property, which is something that one partner cannot prevent the other from doing. V'lo shayich lahatiro mitam breira. Therefore, in this case, you can't say it's mutter because retroactively we see kevan diyachol la'akev, because in theory the other person can actually be ma'akev and say you can't do this at all. La'akev olav ve'eno ma'akev, since he's able to, in theory, be ma'akev and he's not being ma'akev. So again, therefore, the fact that he's not being ma'akev, it's like he's giving benefit, and that's why it is prohibited for them again to put up the mill, the oven, or to raise chickens. And the Mishnah continues, Haya echad mehem mudr hana mechavero. Let's say one of them is mudr hana from the other partner. Lo yikanis l'chotzer. Again, the Tanna Kama says he can't enter into the chotzer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Yachol hu lomar lo. He can say to him, this is again using breira retroactively. L'soch shali ani nichnas ve'eni nichnas l'soch shalcha. I'm entering into my property. I am not entering into your property. That is basically a repeat of what we said in the earlier part of the Mishnah. However, it adds over here, the kofen es hanoder limchor es chalko. In this case, where only one of them is mudr hana from the other, it's not a case where both partners are mudr hana from each other. It's just one of the partners. So then we actually force the person who is the mudr hana, we force him to sell his portion of the property. The Rosh over here explains, Hayachad mehem mudar hana mechaver lo yikanis lachatzer mishon deboy lemisni kofen nakte de kofen as hanoder limchor chelko lechaver. The only reason we repeat a new case is because of this chiddush, that in this case where it's only one of the partners, we want to say the chiddush that we actually force him to sell his portion to his friend. Why do we do that? The chayshinon kevon shero es chaver nichnas, because let's say according to the Tanna Kama, he sees the other partner entering the property, so we're afraid gam hu yishkach nidro v'yikanis. We're afraid he'll forget his neder and he'll enter when he's not allowed to, because he's the mudr hana, again according to the Tanna Kama. Avol bereisha sheshneim asurim, but in the reisha where both of them have the same prohibitions on each other, so they're lo chashin and shem yichnasu. There we're not afraid there's going to be a mistake and they're going to enter into the chotzer. Where it's just one-sided, then we're afraid the person that's the mudr hana, he might make a mistake and derive benefit from the other one. That's why we force him to sell his portion of the field. And the Gemara continues, or of the chotzer. And the Mishnah continues, Haya echad min hashuk mudar be'echad mehem hana. Now let's say somebody from outside, somebody from the marketplace, is mudar hana from one of them. So again, it's going to be a similar machlokas. Lo yikanis l'chotzer. The Tanna Kama says he's not allowed to enter the chotzer because maybe he's entering into the property of the partner that he's mudar hana from. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Yachol hu lomar lo. He can say to him, L'soch shel chavercha ani nichnas. No, I'm entering into your friend's property. Again, using this idea of breira, ve'eni nichnas l'soch shelcha, and I'm not entering into your property. And the Mishnah continues, Hamudar hana mechaveru. Let's say a person is mudar hana from his friend. V'yesh lo merchatz ubeis habad muskarin b'yir. And the individual, he has a bathhouse or he has an olive press, and it's rented out into the city. He leases it out. So in a certain sense, it's not really his anymore. He's leasing it out to the public, to others. So the halach is as follows: Im yesh lo behen tfisas yad. If he has a tfisas yad, which means to say he has some usage, he has some control over the property still. He hasn't completely rented it out. He hasn't completely leased it out to somebody else. So then it's usher for the other person, the person who's not allowed to get benefit, he's not allowed to go into that beis habad or that merchatz, because it really is considered like it belongs to that person. He still has some usage. He hasn't totally leased it out. Ein lo behen tfisas yad, but if he has no usage, so then mutter, so then already it's considered like it's not his, and therefore the person who's mudar hana is not considered to be getting benefit from him. And the Mishnah continues, Ha'omer l'chavero konem lebeischa shani nichnas v'sodcha shani lokeach. Let's say a person says a konem, your house, I'm not going to enter your house, or I'm not going to purchase your field. So meis o shemechor la'acher, if the person dies, the person who owned the field or the house, if he dies or if he sells it to somebody else, so it's no longer your house, it's no longer your field, so then the Mishnah says it's mutter. Now it is going to be mutter. However, if the konem is phrased in a different fashion, konem bayis zeshani nechnas, so the zushani lokech, if the konem is this house, not your house, or this field and not your field, so then meso shemechor la'acher aser. So if he dies or he sells it to somebody else, it's going to be prohibited, because in that case, the konem was made, the neder was made on this house, it wasn't made on your house, so it doesn't matter that the guy died or he sold it. And the Gemara says, Iboy Lahu, they had the following question on the Mishnah. Benadro pligi, in the Mishnah they're arguing in a case where you have again two partners, and each one makes a neder not to get benefit from the other partner. So Heidiru zezemai. So what would be the halacha if one partner took a vow to prohibit the other partner from benefiting from him? In other words, it wasn't that each partner took a vow upon themselves not to benefit from the other partner, it's that each partner prohibited the other from benefiting from his property. What would be the halach in that case? Mi amrinan, do we say, bin nadrahu de pligi, the machlokas between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov in the Mishnah, and again, the Rabbanan are the ones that are strict, and they say that you're not even allowed to walk into the property because we do not employ breira, so maybe it's only over there that they argue and they are strict, when the person takes the vow upon himself not to get benefit from the other's property. Aval behediru zeh, but let's say each one, again, each partner prohibits the other from getting benefit from him. So there, maybe there's a reason to be more lenient. Module Rabbanan Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Maybe in that case, the Rabbanan would admit to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov the chianusin damo, because it's a situation of onus. It's a situation where the partner did not agree to this. He didn't do this. He didn't set himself up for this. Rather, the other partner prohibited him, and therefore maybe we're going to be a little more lenient and we'll rely on breira, and we'll say that he's allowed to enter into the property. Odilmer, maybe afilu behediru zeh pligi, maybe even in a case where each partner prohibits the other partner, so maybe even in that situation there's an argument, and maybe even over there the Rabbanan are strict and say pligi Rabbanan, the Rabbanan are strict and they say that the partners cannot enter the property. And the Gemara says, Tashma, come in here, a proof. Haya echad mehen mudar hana mechavero. The language of the Mishnah is, if one of them is mudar hana, and that's phrased in the passive, meaning it sounds like it's saying he's prohibited from getting benefit, not because of something that he did, but because the other partner prohibited him. Upligi Rabbanan, and even over there the Rabbanan are strict and they argue, and they say that the person who's mudar hana cannot enter the property. So you see that they argue even in that case. And the Gemara says, no, Tani, instead, the way it should be taught in the Mishnah is Nadur mechavero hana. He's Nadur from his friend Hana. That already sounds like it is saying, Nadur sounds like he took the neder upon himself. So in that situation, again, maybe only over there, the Rabbanan are strict. And the Gemara says, Hachanami mistabra. It makes sense to say it this way. The Katani Sefer, because what does it say at the end of that very same case in the Mishnah? It says, V'kofen es hanoder limchor es chelko. We force the person who made the neder to sell his portion. So if you're going to say that he made the neder, so hainu de katani kofin, that's why we force him. He did something wrong by making this neder, and so we impose this knas upon him and we force him. Eloyamrit da adre, but if you're going to say that the case is somebody else put the neder on him, so amai kofino, so why should we force him to sell his share of the property? Hameinas onis. Again, it was a situation of onus. It was beyond his control. There's no reason that we should punish him in that fashion. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabba Amar Zeiri. Rabba says that Zeiri says, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Vav Amud Beis.